Far too many bubbers. Shappi, you've got a correct challenge. You're at 16 seconds. My robot butler starting now.
I wish I had a robot butler. I would polish him all day long. Because just because you are not the...
Because, I'm
Because, yes.
There was because, there was hesitation. I stammered as well. There was all sorts of stuff that went wrong there.
So, Stephen, the correct challenge. 10 seconds still available. My robot butler starting now.
It's a sort of oxymoron in a way, because robot is the Czech for slave or serf.
Shappi, your challenge.
I'm not sure if that was the right challenge, but I think you kind of hesitated too much.
No, there was hesitation, darling. It's all right. And you've got 7 seconds on my robot butler starting now.
I'd take my robot butler on holiday, probably Barbados. I hear over there the care of robot butlers is second to none. In a way...
Very good.
So Shappi Khorsandi was speaking as the whistle went. Gained an extra point. She's moved forward, and she's equal with Stephen Fry and Paul Merton in second place, and they're all trailing Julian just by 3 points only. And, Julian, we're back with you to begin. Cabin fever. Tell us something about cabin fever in this game, starting now.
I know when I was in the Navy and I checked into my cabin, they said, do you want the top bunk or the lower? I said, let me unpack first. And soon after, cabin fever struck me. Please, may I open the porthole, I cried. But request was denied. The next time I had cabin fever, I was on the poop deck, and there's someone breathing very noisily next to me. It's very off-putting. And cabin fever spread like wildfire throughout the ship. People were falling left, right and centre. Oh, I'm very, very faint.
Yes, we all spotted
yes,
it.
repetition of very, sadly.
Very, very, yes. It was lovely, Julian, but unfortunately, Paul spotted the very first, so he's got the point, and he's got the subject. 24 seconds available. Cabin fever starting now.
When I had the job of delivering Abby Titmus's robot butler, I knocked on her door and she wasn't in her house, and I was advised to go to the end of the garden where she had locked herself into this meticulously built cabin. I inquired of the gardener who was there, why is she in this particular structure? She said, she is an artiste. She has a great following.
Shappi challenge.
She's not an artiste.
No, that's just the gardener saying that. I don't agree with that, but he's been paid by her, so he's a certain amount of loyalty.
So now I'm stuck as to whether or not I was correct or not.
She is an actress now. She's a bona fide actress, could we just say?
Okay.
Can somebody tell me who she is? Because I've never heard There was a marvellous England spin bowler called Titmus. He's the only Titmus I've ever heard of. I didn't know there was a... Who is Abby Titmus?
She's an actress. She's got lovely milky skin.
She's beautiful, very nice skin.
She was with a well-known television presenter for a time, and that's how she got well-known.
Okay.
I will say no more. Shappi, he did say she 3 times.
Yeah. He did say... Well, that was my main point that I wanted to make. He said she 3 times, quite close together.
So, as Paul's in the lead, and you haven't played the game as much as anybody else...
Will I get the benefit of the doubt?
Yes, you have. And you've got cabin fever with only 4 seconds to go, starting now.
I shared a hotel room in Paris with my mother this weekend, and cabin fever is what both of us got.
So Shappi Khorsandi was speaking as a whistle end, gained that extra point, and she has moved forward. She's equal with Stephen. 1 point behind Paul, 2 or 3 points behind Julian, who's still in the lead. And Stephen Fry, we'd like you to begin the next round, and the subject is lift etiquette. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
Well, I suppose I'd better enunciate what we're all thinking, really, and that is don't let out any anal wind when you're in an elevator. It must be the first rule of lift etiquette. I think it's probably true also that one shouldn't stare at people. It's generally, especially if you're English, considered wise to look towards the ceiling. There's never a hatchway, as there is in thriller films, but in real life, lifts are rather dull places and people are embarrassed to be inside them.
Julian challenge.
Repetition of people.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's
yes,
true.
Yes, indeed. So we'll listen,
True
Julian.
story. Well done.
You're concentrating like...
He is, isn't he?
Yes.
He's really on fire.
Really?
Sorry, I don't mean you're really on fire.
Start the car, would you?
Right. Julian, you have a correct challenge, which is the most important thing. And you have lift etiquette and 34 seconds starting now.
Every time I get in a lift, I say, are you going down or shall I? Which seems to break the ice. And then we start chatting and generally a journey in...
Shappi challenge.
It's a bit hesitative. Is that a word, Stephen?
Hesitation, yeah.
Well, it is now.
No, he didn't actually hesitate. He didn't. He was teetering on it, but didn't get there. And so, Julian, incorrect challenge. You still have lift etiquette, 25 seconds starting now.
I enjoy going up and down in an elevator.
23 with Stephen, yes.
No, he went down before, if you remember.
So, Stephen, you have the subject of lift etiquette, 23 seconds available, starting now.
I was in one of the largest and longest lifts in London, Centre Point. There's a nightclub at the top there, and I got stuck one night. It was most embarrassing, about 5 of us in there. And I tweeted using a new social network thing called Twitter, and it rather caused a fuss. Everybody got excited about this thing because people and newspapers published it the next...
Stephen Fry was then speaking to us right. Gained that extra point. And the situation is, at the end of that round, he's moved forward. He's 1 ahead of Paul Merton, 2 ahead of Shappi, and he's trailing our leader, Julian, by 3 points. And whose turn is it to begin? Oh, Paul, we're back with you. Happy hour. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
There are many happy hours throughout the day. Perhaps one of the most earliest ones are...
Stephen,
I don't know, I just find it ugly to use a double superlative, one of the most earliest.
I hadn't used the first one out.
It's not really, it's a sort of deviation. I mean, it isn't, to be perfectly honest. Shakespeare uses it in one of the most famous speeches in Julius Caesar, the most unkindest cut of all. But it somehow just isn't nice style, is it?
Yeah, but we're not bothered so much about style.
That's
it's about
fine, then.
whether you can keep going without hesitating, repeating words and so forth.
That's perfectly all right,
so,
then.
Paul, you have 55 seconds. You still another point, of course. Happy hour starting now.
As the sun rises over the dew-kissed lawn and the rooftops of London glisten from the overnight rain, one can hear the earth, in fact, the very metropolis, rising from its slumber and greeting the brand new 24 hours that lie ahead. The happy hour is often referred to in cocktail bars or pubs where one is encouraged to become an alcoholic at half price. And this is a fantastic inducement for those people who can no longer afford the hard liquor of their childhood. I, for one, used to sup at my mother's knee. It wasn't very painful for her because she had a metallic one. And it was magnificent because I would see in the happy hour...
Stephen, challenge.
2 becauses there.
Yeah, 2 becauses, yeah.
Because.
So, Stephen, you have a correct challenge. And you have 12 seconds, the happy hour, starting now.
Well, I would endorse everything that Paul Merton just said, really. It does seem a rather cheap advertising gimmick and a way of getting young people drunk cheaply and early.
Shappi challenge.
Cheap and cheaply, they're not the same words.
No.
So, well, good job I didn't interrupt you then. That would have been well embarrassing.
You did. You did interrupt him, so it's an incorrect challenge.
Sorry.
He gets another... No, don't apologise to me, darling. Apologise to the others, because he gets another point, Stephen does. And he has 4 seconds, the happy hour starting now.
I believe some of the legislature are rather...
Julian challenge.
Repetition of believe.
Yes, you did say I believe before,
It's
yes.
awfully good. I don't know, but I mean, it's so convincing.
I thought you probably
I
did.
probably did. I probably said rather, and I probably said people. You're very good at this, aren't you?
Right.
All right.
Julian, correct challenge, another point to you. And you have 3 seconds only on happy hour starting now.
Every hour is happy hour round at my place. Gin and tonics for all.
So Julian Clary was then speaking as a whistle rang, gained an extra point, and he has increased his lead at the end of the round. That little tinkle tells me something.
We want the nurse back.
No, it is actually telling us that we have time for only 1 more round. Oh, Julian, we're back with you to begin. The subject, Elvis. Tell us something about Elvis in this game, starting now.
I started my career as an Elvis impersonator. In the Ghetto was my showstopper, and people would come from miles around to watch me quivering my lips and shaking the hips in a very Elvis fashion. There are some footages on YouTube which people admire, and there are conventions which I turn up to in disguise as Elvis. And frankly, that's all I've got to say on the matter.
So, Paul, you got in there first.
Came to an elegant stop.
So we call it hesitation. Paul, you have the subject of Elvis. There are 33 seconds available, starting now. Julian.
Repetition.
That's Elvis Presley, that's not my fault.
He was a bit more distinct than that, I think.
Was he?
Well, not
How
towards the...
did he sound to you?
Well,
I
can't get out
You
of
knew
this.
him better than I did.
So, Julian, we get the benefit of the doubt to you, and it is Elvis still with you. 31 seconds, starting now.
People loved my jailhouse rock, which wasn't particularly correct in the...
Shappi challenge.
Is it a bit
Yes, a little bit of hesitation.
Sorry.
So you're catching up rapidly on them now, Shappi. And 28 seconds still available. Elvis, starting now.
We hear a lot about the food Elvis liked to eat towards the end of his life, and a lot of people were appalled by it. However, I'm quite intrigued by this thing he used to have of an entire loaf of bread, hollowed out, with bacon in it, and loads of cheese and grilled. I think that sounds delicious. It's a real shame that it's unhealthy, but I'd like an Elvis cookbook, because I think a lot of the stuff that he had would be...
Julian challenge.
Oh, I'm afraid you hesitated.
I was starting to feel fat as well as I was talking about it, so I'm glad of that.
But you were interrupted with only 3 minutes to go.
3 minutes? Oh, great. Time is going backwards. He's turned back time.
No, I'll say anything to get a round of applause.
Hello, I'm your new milkman. He says that sometimes.
Julian, you got in actually with 3 seconds to go. But it's correct, those are the rules of the game, and you have another point. You have Elvis back with you. 3 seconds, starting now.
I am still often mistaken for Elvis. I can't set foot in America.
Paul challenge.
Well, that's no compliment. He's been dead 30 years. Although now you say it, I can see what you mean.
Paul, I give you a bonus point because we enjoyed the interruption, but I don't know whether it's a legitimate challenge because there's only half a second to go, so what I'll do is give you both a point, all right? One to Paul Merton, one to Julian Clary, and that's the end of that round. So it remains for me to give you the final score. And Shappi did very well. She came in a brilliant 4th place. But no, it was very, very good. Only a few points behind Stephen Fry, who was in a very strong 3rd place. And 1 point ahead was Paul Merton, but 3 points ahead of him was Julian Clary. So we say, Julian, you are our winner today. So it only remains for me to say thank you to these 4 fine pairs of them. So from this delightful audience here in Television Centre, and from me, Nicholas Parsons, and this wonderful team, we say goodbye, thank you, and join us again the next time we play Just a Minute. Yes!